Hi, my name is Spencer Torres with Search Engine Journal. I'm here at PubCon Vegas, and I'm joined today by Christina Baldassarre, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Right.
And you're an entrepreneur, and you also own a company called Zebra Advertising. I understand you're speaking tomorrow a bit about Facebook ads, actually. And you had mentioned in our conversation earlier something that I thought was very interesting about kind of a different way of really looking at Facebook ads. And you were talking about kind of like being rewarded for figuring out what works and what makes people click. Can you can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that for me?
Absolutely. So there are two things right now that excite me in online advertising, and this is, first of all, video, and second of all, Facebook ads. And my presentation tomorrow is about Facebook ads because it has volume. With video, there's always the issue that you need to first create one and then you need to figure out how to advertise it, but Facebook ads is accessible, it has quality traffic, it has the volume that you're looking for, so you can scale things up easily once you found what works. And one of the reasons why I like Facebook advertising so much is because it's one of the very few platforms that rewards you for doing well. So I see Facebook ads very much as a challenge to see how smart you really are, because if you get a high click-through rate, Facebook rewards you with a much lower CPC. So while other platforms have that correlation with CTR and CPC, the significant impact on Facebook is so much larger that if you figure out to make that CTR high, you pay next to nothing per click. And we've done some research on what makes people click, because that's exciting.
And what would you say kind of would be on the top of that list? Like, what is it that you think? I mean, from my understanding on the Facebook ads, a lot of it's images, right? Like whether or not you have a strong image. What would you say are the top things that really influence that click-through rate?
I think the amazing thing about the test that we have done is that there's really only one thing, which is the image, but the degree to which it impacts the ad is incredible. So the CTR is impacted by just the image up to 70%. So depending on what image you're choosing, your CTR goes up plus 70 or minus 70%.
Wow.
Then furthermore, we did some research and said, okay, we had like maybe 20,000 ads around that tested across industries, across countries, across languages, to really get a good idea of what works and what doesn't. And many of those images had people on them. So we said, you know, maybe we're doing a mistake here, maybe we should test whether you need a person on it at all. And it turns out that if you have a headshot, like close headshot of a person, or if you sell pet products, a dog or a cat, for instance, for that matter, then people are 6 times more likely to click. So
would you say that that's
amazing.
Case? Like, let's say I have a product that really isn't people orientated. Mm-hmm. I mean, should I as a company still make an effort to try to come up with some kind of image that incorporates people? Or, I mean, is it really that strong that you have
It is that strong, because just imagine if you could get your CPC down from maybe $2, depending on the industry, that's pretty good, to maybe 35 cents. And if you can scale it up, that's a big impact. So let's make an example of a company that does that really well, which is Progressive. They sell insurance, and like many insurance companies do, they have a face to it. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows the Progressive lady with the headband, the red lipstick, the white shirt. Everyone recognizes that face. Look at KFC, for instance. Everyone knows the face, everyone knows the little tie. So this is something that's been around for a while, but nobody actually realized until just recently how important it is to have the ad with a photo of a person where the face is visible and it's a close-up headshot, because it impacts your results. So while it has been around for a while that, you know, it's obviously smart to have a person associated with a brand, it has never been that clear in numbers with proper research done that this really impacts the bottom line.
Well, I think you said it right there. I mean, you have to try to get images of people into your ads. And how many ads would you say, one last question real quick, how many ads do you think people should target when they're thinking about testing? I mean, would you say like 10, 20 different images? I mean, is there a certain number that kind of, you know, people should look at for testing?
I would say it's not so much the number you test at a time, it's that you continuously test. So whether you have 2 ads and that's what's good for your budget, or whether you have, I don't know, maybe 200 ads and that's good for your budget, it's important that you always renew the content, because Facebook tends to reduce the reach and the visibility of your ad if you don't provide new content. And that kind of goes in hand with a lot of things that Facebook has been doing, that new and original content is really what excites people on Facebook, and that's what they're pushing. So in my opinion, it's more important that you regularly have new ads and test and keep testing, mostly images in my opinion, but of course you need to test the rest also, because at some point if you have found the best images, then you kind of need to start playing around with the text a little bit.
So obviously you have a lot of information here. Can you tell me a little bit about where you're blogging at, or what are your social channels that people can kind of follow you to get more information from you?
Sure. So there are actually a lot of them. I don't run my own blog because I think it's time consuming to me to do that, and I would rather join the people that say anyone who has an established blog I will follow, but I won't start my own anymore. So you can read me on Search Engine Journal, of course. I'm lucky enough to be VIP contributor. Love the little star you did. I think it's basically it's definitely something to watch because people experiment very little with how the author is displayed, and everyone just says, oh, let's put him on the left, and you guys actually started experimenting with that. So that is something I think will be interesting to watch how that develops.
Awesome.
And then you can follow me in other journals if you Google my name, like entrepreneur.com and others. You'll find me, and I'm happy to follow back. So follow me on Twitter. It's at Christina Baldassarre. So follow me there so I can follow you back.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Christina.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Swinging in for me.
Yeah, I literally just got in, so thanks. It's great to be here.
So, head of publisher communications, something that I think people have really wanted for a long time, but still kind of vague on exactly what that is with you. I know it's a new role. What is it exactly is the head of publishing?
The SDJ Summit is one of the better conferences I attended. The speakers were fantastic. The weather here has been amazing. I mean, this location, the hotel.
The thing I'm really liking about the SDJ Summit is the 3 takeaways structure.
Yes.
I'm leaving with way more.
I also like the single session format for conferences.
I agreed to be a speaker here because I think above all else, the quality of people who attend the meeting, something to be said about the fact that you can't just pay to come here. It's by invitation only.
Whatever.